investment. His father, Raju Sharma, my client's father, he bought a flat for 3 lakhs in 1983. Last year, in 2013, it was sold for 2.1 crores. 70 times in 30 years. 70 times in 30 years. Was this a great investment or was this not a great investment? 30 साल में 70 गुना. Sorry? It is reasonable. Okay? Mathematically, it is not a good investment. Right? This is what you are saying. Investment is good or bad?
When it reaches the income, that's the substantial amount.
Right.
In today's world,
Right.
it's a substantial amount.
Okay.
It's caught up with inflation.
Right.
It was 3 lakhs 30 years ago.
Right.
What exactly it is today?
So what a lovely way. He says 3 lakhs 30 years ago was a substantial sum, 2.1 crores today is a substantial sum. So it's obviously kept pace with inflation. So it's a good investment. But how do you classify an investment as good or bad or great? How? What do? You calculate the return percentage. What will be the return percentage in this? Any guesses?
It should be more than the inflation.
It should be more. So roughly what would you treat as inflation? 10% worse, 8%, 8 to 10. So is it better than that? How much better? Any guesses?
It's getting double every 5 years.
It's getting double every 5 years. So by rule of 72, that makes it more than 14%, right? It's actually 15.2%, right? It's actually 15.2%, which means it's a good investment. But is it actually 15.2? The calculation is correct, but was his return actually 15.2? Isn't he forgetting something? Isn't he forgetting?
10% inflation.
Inflation to jo hua so hua. What is he forgetting? Tax. We never forget the lungi wala. Right? He'll have to pay tax. And after cost inflation index, he'll end up paying 40 lakhs. So, he'll be left with 1.7 crores, which means the return drops from 15.2 to 14.42. Is that a good investment? Of course it's a good investment. I mean 14.42% year after year for 30 years. You bet it is a good investment. But is it a great investment? How do you decide whether it's a great investment? How would you decide? This is above the bank's interest rate. So it's a good investment. Is it a great investment? How do you decide? Okay, how do you decide?
Security of the investment.
Right.
Liquidity of the investment.
Right. No, all this has happened. Now this is a post-mortem.
But 1983 bank interest was 14%.
Bank interest was 14%. So therefore, this is not a great investment.
Second influence which will come whether 3 lakhs money was spare available or he has taken a loan.
No, he hasn't taken a loan. Spare available. And he kept this house locked up. And no rental yields. Now can you tell me whether it was a... How do you decide? We know he earned 14.42%, which is a good return. How do you decide whether it was a great return or not?
You have to compare it with some other investment.
Comparing it with some other like
Share market.
like share market. So you think share market did better? Any guesses? Did share market do better? Yeah, absolutely. So we're doing a post-mortem. Right? If you had invested in the Sensex at 3 lakhs in 1983, that would be roughly 2.7 crores. That's a return of 16%. Okay? And since there is no tax on equity, the pre-tax return is equal to the post-tax return. What else will you compare it with? Gold, right? Would gold have done better than this? No? Are you sure? Can I hear the ladies? It is better? It would have done higher returns than this? No? Okay, how many people say gold would have done better? Okay, because we are doing post-mortem, the data is existing. Okay? This is gold. Gold was 1800 rupees per 10 grams in 1983, which means you would have got roughly 1.7 kgs in 3 lakhs of rupees. And that would be worth, assuming 29,500 price, that would be worth roughly 50 lakhs, net of tax 5 lakhs, left is 45 lakhs, 9.32. Is 9.32 a bad return? Something wrong? You don't agree with the calculations? Sorry? Is it too low? Is it too high? It's too high. It's the correct price, I assure you. I assure you it's the correct price. This is the return that gold has given over 30 years. This is over 30 years.
Gold is approximately linked to inflation.
It linked to inflation. So this is a good return. 9.32 year after year is a good return. Okay? But the other returns are better. So what is the learning from this? The learning is not that equity is better and real estate is worse. That was not the objective of this exercise. In fact, the objective of this exercise is that when large numbers are thrown, and especially in real estate, you invest large sums of money. 3 lakhs was large in 1983. Obviously, when you sell, you get back large numbers. And we frequently tend to overestimate the return. So when we did this at one workshop, another person came up and said, this may be true, this may be only 15%. The guesses ranged from 25, 30, 40%. But here is another example. He said, my father invested 59,000 rupees in a flat and that was sold for 2.5 crores. Was that a great investment? I have not given you the entire data. He invested it in 1959 and sold it recently, a month ago. Okay, that's 55 years. It's not a good investment. It is not a bad investment, but the return is only 12%. Okay, the return is only 12, not bad at all. I mean, 12% is a return you don't scoff at. In fact, let me give you another example, and this is a real life example. In 1980, there is this gentleman who invested 10,000 rupees in Wipro, right? And that became, today, that is worth 574 crores. That 10,000 rupee investment in Wipro became 574 crores. It is today worth that. He hasn't sold a share yet. Okay? So that's a great investment. And this is not a point about equity being a good investment. But what do you think is the return? 10,000 rupees from 1980, which means in 34 years, 10,000 rupees has turned into 574 crores. What do you think is the return? Double digits, triple digits, or single digit? Sorry? 500% per annum, compounded. Okay? Any other answer on that? Any other answer on that? Some guesses. The real answer is 48%. That is the real correct answer. So the point is, was that a great investment? Of course it was a great investment. But when we see large numbers, we frequently tend to overestimate the return. So when large numbers are thrown at you, okay, before you decide whether it is a good investment or not, take the time to calculate the return percentage. I think that really is the learning that we should take from this.